There we go. There we go. I am a Native Plant Society member, and I have been for about 5, 6 years now. I went through the Native Landscape Certification Program. Great thing to go through. I loved it. I went all over the state and central, all over the state. I went all over to different areas of the state to take the different courses. So that took course 4 was down here in San Antonio along the waterways through there when we did our plant identifications and things like that. So it's a great class to take. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I am also a life member of the Texas Garden Club out of the Temple City. I also have through the Texas Garden Club Design and Landscape. I'm a landscape steward. I'm a pollinator steward. I really do riparian and restoration repairs, which is creeks and waterways. I am a native prairie of Texas as well. And I also do the Texas Master Gardener. So I keep very, very busy. And I keep learning more and more. I just took a class in LaGrange all day from Texas Park and Wildlife on more of our natives and our conservation and things that are happening through the state of Texas that's going to affect us in the long term. So I'm always trying to keep up on all the information that's going on out there. But today we're talking about fruitful choices. Fruitful choices are the native and adaptive fruit-bearing trees, not nuts, but fruit-bearing that you can plant in your yard that our climate and our weather really like and really enjoy. So the difference between native and adaptive. Benefits of it. So the natives is what's always been here. That's subjective because do we count 50 years back, 100 years back, or 500 years back? Because we are in such close proximity and plants don't know that we have borders, a lot of our plants actually were native because they came down through Mexico and up through Texas at that point. Some of them have gone by the wayside. Some are still learning their way back to us at that point. Native plants are more drought tolerant, more pest resistant. They love to have the insects and reptiles and mammals that come with the native plants because that's what the native plants are used to having. Care for them and what the mammals and the insects and the reptiles also allow them to be cared for. The seasonal interest, there's always something different going on with a native plant. Even if you get just a salvia and you look at it and it's evergreen before it blooms and how pretty and the different greens it has. And there's like 40 or 50 different kinds of salvias out there. And then the edible yields. So that's why we're doing more of those today than the overall plants because there's so many of them for us. And how do you choose the right one for your property? Whether it's in the urban setting or acreage, you want to know what your soil type is. I'm not sure how it is down here, but I'm pretty sure it's still the same. Anything that is on the west side of 35 is pretty much garbage. Everything that's on the east side of 35 is blackland prairie or the aquifers going up through that area, and the land seems to be a little bit better, but it seems to be more rockier and limestone on this side. So it's got its challenges. Your space and sun requirements and your wildlife versus human interest. If you want to have deer in your yard or bunnies or armadillos or raccoons or lizards or whatever you want to attract to your yard, some of them are pests. Some of them really like to whatever they use just planted. Raccoons love it when you put a pond in with fish. So it just depends on what it is you're inviting into your yard and what you want to do. When I started I had a blank slate in my yard because just about the time I moved into this house, we had the snowgeddon. So most of the landscape was going to be torn out anyway, so it worked really well for me. And as I've been putting more native and adaptive plants in there, I have spiny lizards. It is not a fish story. They are this big, tail and all. And I told my daughter one day we had iguanas in the yard, and she's like, "Iguanas not here." And I was like, "I'm telling you, this blizzard was this big." And she finally saw one of them, and she came in the house and she goes, "That thing can carry off a cat." Did you see the size of that thing? I was like, "I know." And my daughter's arachnophobic, and I said, "Don't go under the house." And she's like, "Why?" I said, "We have tarantulas under the house that are eating other things and the small rodents. But with the spiny lizards, I got toads. I have 4 different kinds of geckos in my yard now. I have all the beneficials have come in because the bad guys came in to eat things, and the beneficials that eat them came in and went, "Ooh, we have a food supply here. We're going to just eat them all up." I have no aphids. I get the mountain laurels. I get those god awful caterpillars on them. I get those once a year. I have a pocket prairie on the side of my house. It got infested with spider mites. It attacked my rosemary and my Texas persimmons. It's great. You take a high pressure steam hose and you just blow them right off and they're gone. They're like aphids. You don't have to spray. But I went out the next day and all the spider webs are gone and all the spiders are gone because they pretty much got zapped and pulverized with the high compression sprayer. Um, so when you start doing natives and you start bringing all those things in, you'll be amazed how your yard turns over. The other thing I really like about the natives and the adaptives is there's very little maintenance. You do basic pruning on them. There's very little pest and disease and when and how to harvest. And depending on what you put in your yard, you can harvest through the whole year from early spring all the way through late fall. And our late fall sometimes isn't until January. Like a couple of years ago, we didn't have our first frost till mid-January. It's normally Thanksgiving, but it changes from year to year. So we're going to talk, I'm trying to move this along a little bit because we're really going to talk about each kind of plant that we're going to discuss. One of the things that I really like is I am what you would call a lazy gardener. I have drip. I have big IBCs that are hooked up to the drip. So I make sure they're full. Everything's on timers. I get to go sit in my yard and I get to enjoy it. At this time of the year, I watch it die. So I'm out with a headlamp at 5 o'clock in the morning before the sun comes up because it's not hot then. My daughter got me headlamps that go out like this so I can see everything around me, but I also get to see what's nocturnal. And there's a lot of pollinators. There's a lot of other things out at night that you don't normally get to see that are affecting your garden and affecting your trees and your natives. So Texas persimmons. I love Texas persimmons. They are a slow growing, they're not very slow growing, but they are a shrub bush. I brought these are from my yard. This is my second persimmons. They are washed. If you want to taste one, they are full of seeds. When they are growing, the seeds stay the same size and the fruit grows big around it. So as this gets bigger, the seeds won't seem like it's a whole mouthful of just nothing but seeds. But the flavor is nice. It's very, yeah, they were in my car, so they got kind of gooey a little bit. And that's why they're warm too. But they're really good and they have a very light taste to them. It's a nice shrub that doesn't get any taller than 10 to 20 feet if you want it to. You can keep it pruned back. It takes males and females. So if you have both of them, I have them about 15 feet apart. I have the male on one side of the fence, the female's on the other side. My female looks terrible because she's always pregnant. My male looks great. He grows like a weed. He looks lovely. But they do very, very well once they are established. And that's the thing about natives. Once they're established, 18 months to 2 years later, they do quite well. I have these out in my yard. I don't mulch them because they're used to being out in the terrain. They're used to being out in the prairie. You don't have mulch out in the prairie. They get heavily watered with 5 gallons. I take a Lowe's bucket. I drill 3 holes in it. I fill it up. I put it next to the tree where the canopy comes out, and it gets one of those once a week now that they're established, and they do beautifully. This fruit is, like I said, it's got a lot of seeds in it, but it's very good. You can separate it all out. You can make jellies, you can make preserves out of it. I like just eating them off the tree myself. When I collect them, I don't seem to collect enough to be able to can them because I'm too busy eating them. When I collect them off of my trees, I collect probably 90% of it. The other 10% I leave for the birds and the squirrels. The squirrels are really good so far about not climbing up the tree. They get them when they hit the ground. And then they grab a hold of them and shove it in their mouth. And they've got all this stuff all around their face and then they run off with it. Mexican plum is yes. No, please go right ahead.
Regarding the persimmons.
Yes.
With the way that they are developing, they're clear cutting. And I was wondering if you could tell us about germinating persimmon seeds so that we can get them in pots and sell them at our plant sales, because those people in the new subdivisions need persimmons.
They do.
They need them.
They need those instead of those god-awful Bartlett pears in their front yard, right? Or a live oak or something besides those things. I do not have all that information, but I can tell you a great way to get it. Whenever you're researching, because there's so much information out there on the internet now, and there's so much crap out there, you'll spend hours going down those rabbit holes to find out that your brain's about to explode because everything contradicts everything else. Texas persimmons, how to propagate Texas persimmons, space, extension, space, edu. We'll give you every research base from the universities of anywhere in the Texas and in the United States that tells you about Texas persimmons or about a persimmon tree. And that will tell you from propagation to pruning to any pests to diseases. All of that information will come out on that sheet. I have the Mexican plum. I don't think I have the persimmons ones, but the Department of Agriculture puts this one out, and this is one of them that you get from the U.S. Forestry. Then they have one like this on Texas persimmons. This one's on the Mexican plum. But when you go in and you ask for Texas persimmon space extension space edu, gives you everything that is research based, and you don't have to go through that 6-hour rabbit hole unless you really want to and go to sleep or not.
When you say space, just the space.
Just a space bar.
No dots.
No dots, no anything. Yep. So if you do it on your phone right now and put in Texas persimmon space extension space edu or just extension and look at all the choices that come up for you. Google has sponsored, so a lot of those will come up as sponsored. You go 2 or 3 down and you'll see more information. I think when you put in the edu, I think A&M comes up first because they do more agriculture and horticulture based stuff more than UT does.
So I have a question.
Sure.
I have a lot of them growing wild in my yard, but I'm not getting any fruit.
You have to make sure there's male and females close to each other or close enough, or that the flower on the Texas persimmons is only that big. It's very, very tiny, and it's only out for the month of March and the first part of April. So if they're not getting pollinated, you're not going to get any fruit.
I saw some flower, but I didn't get any fruit.
Yeah, and because if you don't have the male around, if the bee is not hitting the male to come back to the female, then you're probably not going to get the fruit.
So many on the property, I'm surprised I don't have both.
I actually am surprised too, but it depends. The last 2 springs have been wet. There's been no pollen for our bees, so our honey production is down. The bee production is down because of that, because the pollen's been too wet. So that could be part of it too. I didn't have near as many persimmons as I did this year, but I have a huge urban pocket prairie on the side of my house that literally just buzzes every time I walk out there. So I know I had plenty of bees to do everything all over the yard. So, and if it's out in your acreage, it's just not getting that pollination that it needs. And a lot of our native bees, yes.
I've noticed last probably 2 or 3 years, I've had almost no bees.
Yeah, that's the other.
Before that, I had bees all over.
That's a whole nother topic that I can do a presentation on too, is our native bees and our honeybees. Yeah. And it's not so much the honeybees as much as the native bees. There's only 3 hive bees in the world, and none of them are native to Texas. And most of the hives that are here are for agriculture production, like down in Fredericksburg for their peaches and things like that. And a lot of bee companies rent out their bees to do that. There's a lot of Texas beekeepers that send all their bees to California to take care of that breadbasket in Central California before they come back here. We really need to save our native bees. And our native bees, unfortunately, are going by the wayside because we're losing the ground that they burrow in. Most of our bees in this state burrow into the ground. They go down about that far into the ground at an angle, and little things that come off. They go in there and they lay their larvae. They upchuck a bunch of the nectar and the pollen. They shove in a leaf, and then they close it all up, and they do that again. And they do that the whole time. What they're laying the first are the females, and what they lay on the outside are the males. So the male is hatched first, and he's out there buzzing around, and as the females come out, they meet. And they get happy, happy, happy. And then they go and they pollinate and do all that kind of thing. He dies within a couple of weeks. The females keep going because they're out there burrowing new holes. But if you have a pristine lawn and you have no open ground, they're not going to know to go in there and dig, because they need to have that open ground area in your yard to be able to dig. But if you've got a lawn in there that hasn't been thatched, or you have a lawn that's out there, they're not going to know to go down there and dig because they can't see the ground. So they lose that. And then when you're mowing over the top of them, the bees don't like the vibration. They leave, or they try to find another place. And if they've left to another place and they don't burrow fast enough, we just lost a generation of bees from that one bee. And that could be anywhere from 4 to 8 larvae. So it's a never-ending process that unfortunately is dominoing as more and more places are getting torn up. For my yard, I have one patch of St. Augustine I have that god awful Bermuda that I'm still fighting with in places. But for the most part, I have no grass. I have all horse herb. I have frog fruit. I have whatever is there. At this time of the year, with it all dead, I can go out with a flashlight in my backyard in all my bare spots. And I'm very bad. I go down under the flashlight and I get down and I look in the hole to make sure it's being used. And there are holes anywhere from this big to this big. The bigger holes are wasps, the smaller holes are bees. Yeah, wasps do not like it when you bother them at night either. Just like they don't like it during the day, but they don't like it at night. But that's why we're losing more and more bees. Sorry, we got off on that. Don't get me on other subjects. Yes. Did you have a question?
Yeah.
Okay. So the Mexican plum is another one. And I wasn't sure about the Mexican plum till I went up to Fort Worth Botanical Gardens. And in their parking lot, they have Mexican plums everywhere. And I'm like, oh, what's that? So I found out it was a Mexican plum, and they start off amber color and they get ripe at when they get to be this color. They're no bigger than this, which is fine. I don't need a big black plum. It's no bigger than this. Tastes just like a regular plum. Takes a little bit more of them because they are smaller. I wasn't sure what they tasted like, so I looked around like this and I went like, and I was like, oh, hey, it fell, and tried it, and I really liked it. So now I have 2 Mexican plums in my yard. So it takes these 2 to 5 years to produce their first time, but I'm not in a hurry. So I bought my saplings at this tall, and right now, and it's now this tall. So this next year's is when it's supposed to produce. So I'm very excited about that.
Do you need two? Do you need 2 trees?
You do not. No, not on the not on these. And look what a beautiful tree that turns out to be. It's got a gorgeous canopy that will eventually go out there. I keep mine more, instead of having a mushroom kind of canopy, I keep mine more content because I've got other fruit trees that have around there. Like right now, I got a white Marsala fig from somebody that I didn't know was a white Marsala fig, and it just decided to go whoop, and it's trying to overtake my plum. So that will change this next year. Fruit, edible for you, for wildlife, for everybody else. Great for jellies and jams as well. The agarita is a great one. It is full sun to partial shade. If you notice, it has little holly things on it. This is edible. It's red fruit. It's kind of like a red currant and a pomegranate cross. You can't eat them. Birds love them too, but you can also eat them. Versus the mayhaw or the possum holly, you can eat them if you want a natural laxative. And I wouldn't eat a whole lot of them because your tummy will hurt when it does. It has a resinous kind of material on it. Migratory birds love them, but not so much for people.
You're talking about yoga,
No, possum holly and mayhaw.
possum.
Possum haw, yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the other one,
So agarita, and the mayhaw. So the agarita is really good for that. It is good for jellies and jams as well. It's good for throwing it on your salad. It's great for just pulling it off of there and eating it. I do not have one of these in my yard. I have thought about it, but it's more bushy style than tree style, and I'm looking to fill in more trees. I'm on less than a quarter acre right now, and I have 21 trees. My daughter keeps asking me where I'm putting new trees, and I'm like, I've got a spot. And she's like, sure you do. So eventually it will be more shaded than anything else, but because they're natives, they aren't full into shade. So even under this one, you can see it throws shade over there a little bit, but if you keep it pruned up, you're going to have a lot of light and a lot of air coming in through there to let anything that's underneath there be able to grow too. American Beautyberry. These are really pretty. They come in a white, red, and purple. Purple is probably the most popular that you see. It is a summer to fall. So right now they are producing the berries and they will get to those beautiful purple colors. They really have no taste. When you make them into a jelly, it's because you added sugar. There's not a whole lot of taste to them. Deer love them. Bunnies love them. Birds absolutely love them. Squirrels don't get to them too often because the limbs are very flimsy. And when they jump on the limb, the whole limb comes down because of their weight, and squirrels don't like that. But it is good for all of those. And yes, deer do love these. A lot of deer won't eat some of the natives, but if they're land carp like sheep, if they get hungry enough, they'll eat anything. Mustang grapes. There's a lot of people that don't like Mustang grapes, but they've got their place. Mustang grapes, when you're going down the road at this time of the year and you see those trees off to the side of the road and you see all those row of vines hanging over them and it looks kind of really cool, those are Mustang grapes. They grow everywhere. They grow in the worst soil. They grow in shade. They grow in sun. They grow and take over trees. They don't actually kill them, but they do shade the tree itself if you let it get away with it. But nature did it for a reason, because that's where the animals go in to go harvest for them to be able to eat the grapes without having birds of prey and everything else come at them. I was photographing some longhorns off the side of the road one day, and I watched this cute little falcon just going around circling, and it just dove right into a tree with all these Mustang grapes, and it came out with a rat-ish thing about that big that was in there eating the Mustang grapes. So they do it because they know there's a food supply there. What's really interesting about this grape compared to others, and I don't grow a lot of grapes, and I've not growing this particular one, but I've gotten now in the habit when I see them starting to ripen in the year, I go and look. If you lift up the leaf and it's fuzzy underneath, the grapes aren't ready. If you lift up the leaf and the leaf is smooth, you can pick the grapes. Yes.
I've got one that I've been watching, and I've never seen any fruit on it. This year, I trimmed it back, because there's another lady said you need to do that, it comes on the new growth.
It does.
And I saw it put off little bunches of little tiny grapes, but then I went back a couple weeks later, nothing there.
Yeah, well, welcome to birds. Welcome to little animals that like to eat them.
You know,
Oh, yeah, as tart as they are, they'll still eat them because they see them as a food supply. And depending on how hot it is, that's when you lose a lot of the Mustang grapes because they're looking for a water source, and that's a great water source. I mean, they don't go after the cactus because it hurts them, but something like this is a really easy water source, tart or not. I mean, yeah, if you ate a bunch of Sour Patch things all day, you would get thirsty, but this is actually helping them with what they need too. Yes.
Tracy, what I've found is I've tried Mustang grapes
Mhm.
on a variety, and there are individual plants that produce a sweeter grape
There are.
than the tartar one. So when I find those, I plan on taking cuttings from those
Yeah.
to do it. So it is very much.
And you have to remember, if you're not growing grapes for wine, you don't need to stress the plant. The only reason when they do them for wine is because they're stressing the grape and they're trying to get that little bit of dehydration to get that fuller flavor of the grape. If you've got a Mustang that you're trying to grow, give it more water because that's what grapes require in order to fill out that fruit. So maybe next time, if you get those cloths to go around it and give it a little bit more water.
It's up the top of my property.
Oh,
I'm
gotcha.
sitting on top of some limestone.
Oh.
It's a rocky spot, so.
So that might be, yeah, so it may not grow very big anyway, compared to what does on the side of the road, which is normally close to by where ditches are and where the trees are. Yeah, that could very well be. Mayhaws, we just talked about those. They are good more for not so much for you as they are for your bird friends. It has a resonance in the covering of the fruit. So it's not so much for you to be able to eat. You can, but like I said, it's a natural laxative. It will not do as you won't be happy with it. A small handful of them, if you want to try them, is not a big deal. But if you eat more than that, or you try to make jams or jellies out of it, this is good more for if you want to have this in your yard to have the birds attracted more to this as they're migrating through, especially those waxwings, they will go nuts over these things. But they'll leave the other stuff alone because this is what they want. Because this gives them that extra stuff that they need for their migratory part. Northern dewberries, they are like blackberries, if nobody knows what they are. They are not very big. They only get about this big. They are considered a nuisance in some places. I know people that have, up at Mount Vernon, there's a Daphne prairie. It's 1,000 acres they restored to a natural prairie. They literally have to fire every 5 years to help with the thatch and the undergrowth to help with the bird population that they have. They've got the bobtail quail that's coming back there and the horned toads. But they mostly do the fire because of these guys. These are highly aggressive. Once when they vine across the ground, they get no bigger than 3 feet tall, but they just take off like an octopus. They are just everywhere. But they're really good. Wear gloves, wear sleeves, because like a thorn blackberry, it will attack you. It's thorns are shaped like this, so when you go in, it hooks you, and that's why it's always a hard time getting out of them once you're in them, is because of that reason. But they do really well. They like the crappiest soil that you could possibly give them.
So I have a question. I have something that looks like a dewberry. I grew up around dewberries. I picked them in the kids.
Mhm.
Have never had fruit and I'm on the crappy soil there.
Oh, wow.
So I'm wondering do you know if there's a lookalike or if it's just too dry?
Could be both. I know that there's a thorn blackberry that takes over us areas too. But like with dewberries, if you want to do them to harvest them, they're like blackberries. You have to cut them back in order to get the fruit each year because it comes off of what's the new canes that are coming out, not the old ones. Yes.
I've got a low quality vine that I thought was a dewberry. Is that a different variety?
There's a couple of different varieties, but not very many that grow well here. And you'd have to identify it through either the picture this or the iNaturalist would be able to give you a better idea of what variety it is. This one particular one is the most popular one, and it's more of the northern part of the hill country than down here in this area, because you guys are more down here, you're getting more of an arid than we are up. Even 3 hours where I'm at in Temple is a little bit more, not moist, but the soil is, we're not as arid. We're in an 8B down here, and I think you guys are 9 or 9A down here. And it's just enough difference in growing for that.
But it's shifting.
But it is shifting. It is. They're saying that Temple right now in the area that I'm at will have Houston weather probably within the next 5 years because of the way our weather pattern is shifting, which is compared to this summer, I'm not surprised our heat index has been really high, as I'm sure it has been down here too. Carolina buckthorn, it goes from red to black. This is another one that attracts birds and the migratory birds. It's another one that you can eat it if you want to. It's not very palatable. It's very tart. It's very ugh, when you go to stick it in your mouth. I've had them in the black form, not the red form, because I figured red was not quite ripe and the black is. So I'm always one of those people. It's like, oh, hey, I'd be, 100 years ago when they said, hey, is that safe for you? I don't know. I'll try it. So I eat some of them sometimes to find out. It's just like, well, what's it? If 1 or 2 berries is not going to kill me, it's like, okay, well, what's it going to taste like? And these I spit out. These I was not happy with. But when it comes to wildlife, for birds and for migratories and for deer and things like that and small mammals, absolutely love it. They are just enthralled with it. Similar to this is the pyracantha. That has, we used to be a shrub that people put in their yards all the time, and they still do. It is similar in taste to that is, except does not get you drunk like it does for the birds. This just feeds them. The pyracanthas, for whatever reason, turns into alcohol in bird systems. So if you ever see a bunch of birds that have flocked into a pyracantha, it's because they're having a party and they're tired and they've had a bad day. But you'll see them all hanging around on the ground afterwards for a couple of hours. That's because they got drunk. Something in the pyracantha berry that just affects birds in their system that way. Now, those are all natives that we have here that can do different things in your yard and whatever it is that you want to have. These are the adaptives. These are what grow in our area, but aren't necessarily from here originally, like pomegranates. So I'm sure everybody has seen the pomegranates and stuff around. They grow into a tree. You can have them as a shrub. Mine pretty much looks like that in my yard right now. In the January, I cut it back to where you could see all the limbs and I cut all the suckers and I cut down 5 feet at the top of it. And it is back to being 12 feet tall and this big around. And this is my first year and I have 2 pomegranates on it. I'm very excited and I'm babying them. Right now, they're only this big. So they're starting to turn red. So I'm hoping that they will be the things to come. The variety that I got, I was told it would produce in the first year, and it's now on its 4th year, about to be its 5th year. So in the meantime, I bought it another pomegranate. I bought it a quince because they're all related. And I'm like, look, you have buddies. Why are you not producing me fruit? Well, now come to find out that's why. They do really well. They get 10 to 12 feet. You can keep them as a shrub, as a tree. The fruits, of course, everybody knows that they're edible and what you want to grow them for. Jujubes, my jujubes are not ready yet. They are just starting to form. Jujubes is the China's version of dates because they did not have Mediterranean palms to have dates. They had jujubes. Jujubes there grow like ginkgo trees. They are huge. They have spiritual meaning to the Chinese as well. The fruit is green. It is a sweet apple kind of flavor to it with a little bit of date taste in it as well. You can pull them off when they're green. Green to almost like a little bit of a pale yellow color, and you can eat them like an apple, and they taste sweet like an apple. Yes.
Aren't they rated as invasive?
No, they are not the jujubes. These are, they can be aggressive if you let them seed, but they're not invasive. They don't change the ecosystem. So if you have them in your orchard, like I have all my fruit trees together and they're different trees together, it's not being aggressive there because I pick up all the fruit, so I know what it's going to do. But it doesn't run runners and come up like elderberries do. It doesn't do that. What's nice about these is if you leave them on the tree and they turn that brown color and you leave them a little bit longer, they shrivel up like a date, and then you pull them off and you eat them like a date. And they have that same date taste to it. That apple flavor went away. They have 3 or 4 of them that come out during the spring, or at least I have the honey crisp style, the sweet crisp style that they have. I got mine because I like the sweeter taste. I know you cook with Granny Smith apples, and I know why you cook with them, but I don't like them because they're too tart. So these are very sweet. But once they turn and they shrivel on the tree, or if you take them off the tree and you put them on your counter and you wait for them to shrivel, they taste just like a date. It's amazing. In the spring, I have 4 or 5 of fruits that will come out on it. They have very small flowers too. They're about this big. In the fall, I'll have 100 on a tree that's about 10 feet tall and about 4 feet in diameter. And it's a very, mine is not like that. I have it up higher because I want to be able to walk under it. I want my lawn guy to be able to walk under it to weed. So I have it up higher for the canopy, and I keep it more of a big ball than I do in that shape. And it seems to be very happy with it.
What kind of birds do you see feeding on?
Actually, I haven't seen too many birds. I've seen a squirrel launch from the fence to it and hit my tree and do this, and have grabbed a couple of the fruits, but I have not seen the birds bother it that much yet. I think as it gets older and they start to see it more, they will. Yeah. It is not. It is what they consider adaptive. And the fruit right now, my fruit is probably about this big because it's only a couple, the tree is about 3 years old. A friend of mine's got one that's 30 years old and her fruit's about that big. So the fruit does get bigger as it gets older, but I have never seen anything larger than that. Goji berries. This was the other one I brought in because I liked goji juice, and I was just like, this is something so expensive. And then I started growing them. And you can see how tiny they are. Oh my gosh. I have 3 trees, and off of those 3 trees, or those 3 bushes, they started off this big. I have 3 of them that are this tall and about this big around, and they're full of berries, full of them. And they have been full of berries since the end of July, beginning of August, and they'll be full of berries up until probably end of October. I have 1 gallon plastic bag full of them in the freezer already, and I'm about to fill another one over the weekend to fill up more of them. I have a friend of mine that instead of freezing them, well, I freeze them, but instead of me keeping them in my freezer, my friend has got a freeze dryer, so we're going to freeze dry them this year and see how well they do. There's not a whole lot of flavor to them. There's not. When they do them and they process them commercially, they add extra flavors and stuff to it, so you get more of it. It's more of all the stuff that's good for you, basically. On these, I have seen some of the little tiny, not the sugar ants, but the little black ants on them. But I have not seen aphids on there for those ants to be on there. And I'm not sure why they're on there, but I have Marabella spinach that's growing next to it because they like each other. So I wasn't quite sure who's producing the ants, but that's the only thing that I've seen on there. Yes. I'm sorry.
Where are they native?
These are adaptive.
Yes, I mean,
Oh, I'm sorry. They're actually a native in Indias and the South Asian areas. Yeah. I talked to one gal that made a keyhole garden. If you're familiar with keyhole gardening, she made one and she filled it with goji berries, and I have never seen goji bushes 8.5 feet tall. But considering what nutrients she had in the ground, I'm not surprised. These, I have them in well-drained sandy soil, but I have them with Marabella spinach, which likes that and has the same water. And I also have my crawfish etouffee rose in with it too, because they all like each other. So I have all those same kind of coloring going on it together at the same time. Yes, it's actually considered, It is a beautiful rose. I wish it smelled like crawfish. It does not. It is it looks like the color of a crawfish, and it is a floribunda, so it has a very strong smell to it. And it was created by a gentleman out of LSU and for our heat. It is made for heat, and it trellises up and I just love that rose. I had to get it because it said it was a crawfish étouffée at first. Elderberry. Elderberry does grow into a tree. It is considered more of a riparian and an understory tree. Will do okay in full sun, although it struggles a little bit. It likes to have a little bit more wet feet, whereas all the others, natives and some of the adaptives like to be dry together, and they're okay dry. I have this next to my hose that I have to run my hose for a few minutes to get the heat out of it. I run that on top of it so it thinks it's still getting water, and it does really well. And I have it as shrubs in the front of my house. The flowers you can eat, the berries you can eat, but you don't eat the berries, a lot of handful of them, because they're toxic until you cook them. So once you cook them, it takes away the toxicity, which is why you have elderberry wine, elderberry syrup, elderberry jams. It's because they're cooked. Raw tastes about the same as far as the elderberry flavor is concerned, but it's more toxic. But once you throw them in a pot and you cook them, you're fine. The flowers is what people use for elderberry tea. The leaves, the branches, the roots, and everything is highly toxic. It doesn't matter how much you cook it, it's going to kill you eventually if you drink or eat enough of them. But these do really well. This is for those that have been in Native Plant Society for a while. Ricky Lennox was our state president this last go around. Wonderful man. I took my riparian classes with him. We were walking in College Station along Wolf Creek, identifying plants, and he said, "Oh, there's an elderberry," and I'm like, oh, "I've been wanting one of those." So he ripped it out of the ground, roots and all, handed it to me, and he says, "Lick it and stick it," and I'm like, what exactly does that mean, Ricky? So my 10-foot piece, I cut into 6 sections. So they were no bigger than this. And with the root ball, I stuck in the ground too. He said, lick it, stick it in the ground, and they grow. I didn't do that. I got it wet. I put it in cinnamon. I stuck it in the ground and it grew. It takes them a little bit. It took them a good almost 2 months before the green growth came out on it. But once it did, I cut them back to this tall, and they come back this tall every year. And now they're producing the berries and the flowers and stuff for me that I want.
What did you say? You cut it and then did you say cinnamon?
Yes. Cinnamon it's not a growth hormone, but it is an antifungal and antibacteria. So it does the same thing that the root hormones do. But I get the dollar store cheap cinnamon because that works great. If you get gnats in your house, when you check your house plants, I don't know about you, but I don't bring new house plants right into my house. They sit on my porch for a couple of weeks, just in case anything's crawling comes out. If I bring it in and I've got gnats, I sprinkle cinnamon around the top of it and it kills the gnats. It keeps them from coming back because it's an antifungal and antibacteria for plants. So when I did this, I have a old supplement bottle from vitamins, and I'd have it full of that cheap cinnamon, and I just wet something and I stick it in there, and then I just go stick it in the ground, and these things grow like crazy. So when you order them, they always send you a stick. So cut the stick, put a little moisture on it, put a root hormone or a cinnamon on it, stick it in the ground, wait. Right when you think you're going to rip it out because you're mad, it'll all of a sudden have a bud on it and show you green. But they do very well. Pawpaws. I have been looking forever for pawpaws. In Virginia and the Eastern Seaboard, they grow in the ditch. They call them trash trees. Everybody forages off them when they're going on holiday or something like that, up and down. Nobody likes to grow them in their yard towards the east area. I've been dying to try and get my hands on a couple of them. I finally did after 2.5 years. My discount trees in Brenham finally found me a couple that were actually grown here in Texas, up in the northern area. You have to have a male and a female. It is a cross between a banana, a mango, and a pineapple taste. It's kind of custardy when you break it open. It's really, really good. I really liked it being a pollinator steward because it is the host plant for the zebra swallowtail.
I didn't think that would grow around.
It does, not in the full sun. I have mine between my house and the house next to me, so it gets reflective light, and it's in shade in the heat of the day. It is more acid loving. I make hard cheeses, so the whey that I have left over, because every time I make cheese, it's 2 gallons of milk. Well, I throw away 1.5 gallons of whey when I'm done making the cheese. I save that, and that's what I put on my blackberries and my pawpaws because they're acid loving. So I dilute it down and I give that to them, and they are very excited. This is my first year in the ground, and they've already grown a foot, and they've got beautiful leaves and stuff on them. And then I planted the Maximilian sunflowers around them to kind of keep them like an understory, and they have just flourished.
I grew them in New Jersey. It takes 12 years to get fruit.
Accordingly, this is supposed to take about 6 years before I get fruit. So we'll see.
Good luck.
And in the meantime, the zebra swallowtail, it's their host plant,
And then what happened with me is I got a really big crop finally one year.
right?
And then I got a small crop the next year. And then the third year, I got one piece of fruit.
Oh, no.
And then I moved.
Oh.
So I don't know what happened.
Yeah. Now I know these are cluster fruits and they get to be, about so big they can, but because they cluster, they advise that you break up the cluster so you get bigger fruit instead of just that whole cluster of, smaller fruit.
And they're when they get black on when they're ripe.
Yes. Yeah. But who doesn't like something called pawpaw growing in your yard? Right. But that's what I liked about it was the zebra swallowtail, because we're having such a hard time with our pollinators. It's like, well, if I can put another host plant in there, it's like our red yuccas that you see growing, they're all blooming right now. They have those big long stems that come out and those are red. There is one moth that pollinates that plant. And it comes out, it breeds, it pollinates, and it falls, and it goes back down on the ground until the next year when those flowers come out. One moth. Now you'll see hummingbirds and stuff like that and other things will go to the flowers, but it's that moth that's the host plant for that one moth. And that's its life cycle, is to come out and have fun with the plant and go back into the ground and come back each year. Most of my references came from the TMAU extension links, which is the Texas A&M, the Native Plant Society, the database, local nurseries, anything like that you're interested in. We have a lot of nice nurseries that are available. If you're not familiar with the website for NSPOT, npsot.org, there's a database on there that you go to your eco region and it will tell you what plant grows in your area. It also, the database has gotten even better now, where you can actually search and put a description in of what you think it might be. It will bring up ideas for you. Ladybird Johnson has a very good one as well, but it's adaptive as well as natives, whereas NSPOT does mostly just natives. And it's a great resource for that as well. It'll also tell you where all your nice nurseries are, which are the native plant nurseries. Yes.
I have a story. I taught at Texas State University in the biology department, and one day I had a guy who was a retired intelligence agent, intelligence officer, and I don't know what services. He said it was an oxymoron, but anyway, I asked him. I said, "Well, I want to be able to know what species will grow in this particular situation." And he said, "I can make that happen." So he created the database that the Ladybird Johnson Wildflower Center uses now. He put that original one in there. And it all came from me saying, "I need this."
Where do I find it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what exactly is it and how does it grow? Yeah.
So Joe Marcus now kind of handles the database, but he probably got it from the person you're talking.
That could be. Yeah. Yeah. From where it originally started.
No, we put in there.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So you said you didn't have aphids. I had a terrible aphid problem on my milkweeds.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So because I live on a corner, I have 5 microclimates on my property. So I found out, because I went down one of those rabbit holes and researched before I knew I could put in an extension, to find out that somebody actually took the time to do the study to find out that aphids are attracted to the color yellow and that yellow spectrum. Interesting. Okay. So if I plant sunflowers down on the other side of the wind of my property, what does that do for everything that's over here that gets hit by the wind? It goes to those sunflowers. So I have maybe couple of dozen aphids I can find in my yard at any one time. My roses never have aphids. The aphids on the crepe myrtle in the backyard, I leave because they have ants and they're symbiotic together and they do their little thing and they don't bother anybody. If it gets too bad, the crepe myrtle starts to turn black, I'll go out there with a hose and hose them off every so often. But I found out that all the aphids were going to all the sunflowers. So I planted all native sunflowers downwind on my property by my cannas and said, this is great. You guys reseed and have a field day. The other day I was out there and I found seven praying mantis this big, just chowing down, having a gay old time because they have a great food source. So where are they at? They're there. Now, my Rosa Sharon that I have that is Lola, which is the very pretty purple one, she gets mealy bugs every year. I have no idea why. She just gets them. Nothing else in my yard gets mealy bugs but her. So great. If that's the only place you guys want to be, have at that plant. Because eventually, compared to the pasture mealy bug, the mealy bugs you get in your yard don't actually kill anything. They are a nuisance, basically. So
I have a question about sourcing. I have 13 native trees in my yard. I have an acre. And I planted all of them. Well, I did not pointed the power thing on them. But I have a problem with, finding ones, good specimens that are not pot bound, they're just, they look like that when you take them out of the pot, the roots are just, even at the Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center plant sale last year, they sourced it from some person
thank you for coming.
and I talked to the lady at Lady Bird that, was doing the program. And she said that they have the same problem. Just all of them are pot bound for the native plants I'm talking about.
As in when you keep them in the pot there, you get root bound or?
Growers.
Oh, the growers.
Yeah, they don't pot them up. They keep them so long that
Oh.
So you have to, take your spade or something to go down along these sides of them. They'll branch out. But I guess my question is, do y'all see sources around here that you use for native trees, native trees?
I do trees of Brenham and they haven't been too bound up in the pots when I planted, but I am also one of those that when I plant, the first thing I do is break apart the roots and trim them up before I plant. So it's never been an issue for me. For natives especially, it's very easy to do because they like that because that makes them want to grow when you put them in the ground in the fall. You don't plant them in the spring.
South Texas growers.
South Texas growers does well, yeah. South Texas growers.
You go out to Kerrville is a really good one. And the best plant sale is San Marcos Discovery Center. That's a city run nursery. The city grows its own trees.
I worked there 30 years. The San Marcos
Discovery Center,
Discovery Center.
the one along 35.
Actually, September 12th, there's going to be a tree huggers little mini class from like 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock, and it's free. And I think they have about 10 slots ready. And they're gonna talk about the landscaping design of trees, care of trees, and selection, and then we'll also have a walk in the Discovery Park as well.
Oh, that would be a great thing to go to.
I've been here where?
At the library, it's at the library.
In San Marcos, yeah.
The Hayes County Master Garden is responsible.
Oh,
It's gonna be a good.
But you have to remember too, more people are now, it seems to be more after COVID because people were housebound and couldn't get out as much. So they paid more attention to their yard. And that was really a big boost for a lot of native plant and a lot of prairie and a lot of everybody else of now people are asking for nurseries. They're asking nurseries to get more native plants in. The growers that were growing them, a lot of them were pot bound too because they couldn't move them. Nobody wanted to buy them. So a lot of the retail nurseries were sending them back to the wholesalers going, I can't sell this. So they would take it back, pot it up to a bigger pot, and then they would still have it. But now there's such a bigger push, and I see there's more and more, because I'm out in the community in different areas, there's more and more people that are looking for those natives. It's less work. It still looks great in your yard, and you don't have to plant it every year because once it's established, it comes back year after year. compared to the ornamentals that they go out in the yard and it looks really pretty. And now I have to go out there and do this with it, or I have to do that with it. And oh my God, it's got these bugs and where did they come from? And now I got to spray. Where they're learning because they don't have the time for that, but they want a pretty yard, they're going more towards the natives, which is why the native landscape class is such a great thing to take. The Texas Garden Clubs puts on environmental sciences, gardening school, which is here in San Antonio. And then the other one is in College Station for design and landscape. And anybody can go. You don't have to be a member of the garden club to go.
That class will be 25 times. It's an excellent class.
Which one?
The one in College Station.
Oh, yeah, for the design and landscape. Yeah, it's coming up this next month, the last week of this month, September. Yeah. Now the gardening school, I am very excited because I get one more class with Dr. Novak from Rice University, who's been teaching there here in San Antonio. Their next class is at the San Antonio Botanical Garden, and it's in February. So this is, I mean, they get really good speakers to come and be able to talk about all this stuff. I was one of the last classes with Bill Welch before he retired and now has since passed away. And I was just like, why did I put off going to these classes when I could have had him the whole time? You know, so, but they give you so much information and you don't have, I mean, you can pay for the class. You don't have to take the test. But they're anywhere from $130 to $150 to take a 2-day class, and they feed you lunch. And they have great speakers. There was the design and landscape. The last 2 classes I took there a couple of years ago, I'm taking my master's now. They had a gentleman that came from Italy to talk about the UNESCO vineyards that are how they got those vineyards in those small towns to stop dying and bring back the vineyards and to bring back those towns under the UNESCO flag. Took them 10 years to do it. But it was so interesting, everything they had to go through and how they had to get the information to make it happen. But the speakers are just phenomenal that they have. Yeah. So if you have a chance to go, it is. Yeah. Yeah. It's at a great location.
And that's the garden.
The Texas Garden Club is the one that puts it on. And I went with A&M as well. Yeah. Now, if you choose to pay, that's $5 to take the test. So it's $135 for the class. But if you choose to take the class, once you're done with the class and you get your certification, I got it in design and landscape consultant, but I also through A&M had enough credits to be a landscape steward on top of it. So, I mean, there's perks to having that with you. Yeah. Well, because when I go in to talk to nurseries and as soon as they find out that I've taken those classes, they're more readily ready to talk to me to be able to say, hey, this is what I'm looking for. I'm really needing to find this. What can you do? Or how can you find it? Or do you have a grower that will do it? Walmack's nursery in just outside of Lubbock. Is it Lubbock? Up in that area somewhere. Not quite the Panhandle, but close. Walmack's nursery sends things online. If you go online and you order something from them, they next day it down to you. Whether it's bare root or potted, or you can make arrangements to go up there. If you want to drive 6 hours, you can drive up there and have a nice day. And yes, you're still in Texas, which always amazes me.
Chat online.
Yes.
Got a pomegranate for at least 5 to 7 years and it's never fruited. I've never pruned it. It dies back in the winter, but always comes back. They're about 5 to 6 feet high, bushy branches. There's no simple cover.
Correct. Prune it back to half the size. And it's that new growth that spurts it that makes it want to produce fruits from what I've researched. Half the size. Yep. It'll come back year after year. And they can thin out all those little branches that are on the bottom. They can thin those out to have just 4 or 5 main branches. You're still going to have all those suckers come up, but you don't have as many to contend with the next year when you go to prune it.
You say it's the pomegranate, maybe not the.
Oh, I'm sorry. And it's the pomegranate. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, if you have any questions, how to grow a pomegranate space extension, and it'll give you that information. I have been trying to cut back on my handouts. I gave the narration of what is on here and the links on a piece of paper, but the other handouts, I'm trying to get away from making all those copies all the time. 1, it gets expensive. 2, I'm literally have a tree in paper in my shed. But I'm trying to get away from that to have people actually go digitally and go look for it themselves and find that information. There's handouts that A&M has. If you go on to their A&M, to their learning center, you can get a ton of free stuff that you can download digitally. That's how I got this one on trees. This is from A&M, and you go into their learning center and it says you have to go to the cart and add it. It's a zero amount. You ship it, and all they do is ship it, is they send it to your email and you can download it and use it anytime you want. And that's what a lot of these are. So like this one came out of Kentucky for the pawpaws. Same thing, they have a link, and I think I have a bunch of those links that are on here as well, that you can go and you can find. But I'm trying to get away from having to do all that paper, and not only that, but all the weight of the paper of taking it with me. But then there's this, and I only have one, which is why I show it off, because I am not going to give this away, because this is amazing. So if you look on the back of it, it tells you how to dig and how to make the hole for the tree. And then it gives you where to place the trees and where the best place is. Then it tells you all the care of all the trees that it has listed on here. This is from the city of Austin and Tree Folks. They don't make it anymore.
Does like Howard Garrett have all that on his website?
Might. I'm not sure. This is the first printed copy I had seen. This is copyrighted in 2023, but this is the only one I've been able to find so far. So, but USDA has information, as well as the AgriLife and other universities.
Did you know where pollinates the pawpaws?
I thought it was the zebra swallowtail
No,
that helped pollinate it,
no,
as well as the host plant.
no, flies.
Oh, really? Oh, that's not
Of course,
surprising.
yes, of course.
That's
They
not
have a
surprising.
burgundy flower that smells like death.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And they bloom before the leaves are out of the way.
I usually they bloom before the leaves,
Yeah.
like a lot of plums and stuff do that, do the same thing. When I started learning Soil is Sexy is a gal that I follow, blogging, and she's an amazing gal. And so I learned more of the foundation with her, so I've been putting a different compost, mushroom compost in my yard. I have now 7 different kinds of mushrooms I'm growing, not all edible. There is one that looks like somebody threw up. It gets about this big. It's actually a mushroom. It goes on the yard. I looked at it and was like, what is that? And I went like this, and I was like, hey, that's hard. What animal did this? And so I got on my knees to see what it was, and the odor that came off of that was phenomenally strong. And when I got down there, there was all these little flies all over it, because they're the ones that move spores where they need to go. Then they have those big cylinder ones that are this big, it's a softball size, that you will just randomly see in your yard, and those are mushrooms too. And you step on them, and they go, and all the little spores go everywhere. And then they've got another one that is the size of your finger, and it looks like a piece of coral. It's bright red and has a little tiny flower at the top of it, and the wasps go down inside of it and come back out full of all the spores, and they go everywhere, and it only lasts a day.
The puffballs,
Yeah,
as long as they're white inside, they're edible.
really?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't try to eat those.
Yeah, eat them before they get to the puffy stage.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Just be sure of what you're doing.
Now,
Well, because I actually grow red cap and oyster mushrooms in my yard, but I have them under my lemon balm and my mint, because they do really well under there, so that's why I grow those.
any puffball mushroom that's white inside is safe.
Oh, okay, good to know. Yeah, the one that looks like barf and the one that looks like coral, yeah. I draw the line at trying some things, okay?
I have a question for probably somebody, not you,
Mhm.
you might know. I have completed levels 2 and 3, but I don't know how to find out for level 1 and 4.
You couldn't have done 2 and 3, you didn't need one.
I was gonna say, you can't do 2 and 3, one, you have to take one
Well, I
first
might
before you
be
take.
wrong, I've done 2 out of the 4.
Yeah, you have to take one before you can take it. You can take any of the other ones out of sequence, but you have to take one first.
So how,
And then they have a supplemental one on birds and another supplemental one on,
Community gardens.
I think, is it
That's
community
four.
gardens?
He's talking about native landscapes.
Yeah, is it just the birds?
Instead of just birds.
Oh, it's just the bird one, yeah. Yes,
Any advice on citrus?
put it in a pot and put it in your garage or put it in your house and drink water. Lemons do really well, limes do really well in your yard, in the ground, and so we have another snowgeddon and you're probably gonna lose it.
I kept mine alive this year with, heat lamp.
And you can do that, you can put a blanket over the top of it and stuff. My Myers lemon, I'm so excited, it's got 3 lemons. I have it in a big, huge pot that's like this big, and I have it on wheels so I can put it in back into my shed, when the temperature gets below 55. Same thing with my dragon fruit. I have a beautiful dragon fruit cactus that's this tall and it's this big around, and it bloomed this year but didn't give me any fruit, because they only bloom at night, and I didn't have a right pollinator. And that one goes in my shed, so because I have a temperature controlled shed for all my plants. I can't go in my shed during the winter time, but that's okay.
What about peaches?
Peaches are, yeah, stone fruits that are peaches, apricots, plums that are regular, not natives or adaptives, have a list this long of stuff that you need to do to take care of, which is why I chose to go native. Peaches, you have to have a certain amount of cold chilling hours. It's 500 to 700 hours or 700 to 900 hours. If you don't have enough cold, you're not gonna have peaches, or you're gonna have very small peaches or no peaches. We've had 2 wet springs when the pollinators were supposed to be out. So if you notice, Fredericksburg peaches are not very big, they're not very juicy, and there's not a lot of them because of that reason. And it just never got cold enough this last year. And they're expecting the last year that we just had, they're expecting that, NOAA is expecting that to be again this year. Yeah, that's what they're predicting right now, yeah. So the peaches are great, but they take a little bit extra care to it. You have to prune them, you have to keep up on them, you gotta make sure your graft is good, you gotta make sure, I mean, there's just so many things that you have to do to make sure that they're okay. I like to travel. I like to go places, which is why everything's on drip. And then I tell my daughter she has to water everything by hand, she's like, and I'm like, it's just the stuff in the porch, just do that. But because the natives just do so much better by themselves. I even have a beautiful red bud. And you know why? Because you can eat the blossoms in the springtime. I peel the blossoms off and I throw them in my salad. And it has a little, well, not a cinnamon taste, but a little spicy taste to them. They're really, really good. There's actually a recipe out there now this next year. I'm hoping for more red buds. So, because it's a red bud jelly, I want to try.